This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Democratic Socialist Congresswoman from New York's 14th District. In an interview on CNN, she stated that she supports the impeachment of President Donald Trump. I know you're shocked.
On what ground should the president be impeached?
Well, I think that there are serious grounds in violations of the Emoluments Clause from day one. And, I think that is first and foremost one of the basic elements of and violations on that. But I think from day one we had violations of the Emoluments Clause here with the presidency.
Okay, but what the hell is the Emoluments Clause? The founding fathers of the United States of America were worried about corruption and influence from foreign governments. So to prevent this, the following was written into the United States Constitution. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. No person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept of any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign state. This means that elected or appointed officials in the United States can't accept money, gifts, or emoluments from a foreign government that could potentially influence or corrupt them. So how has President Trump violated the Constitution? Well, for starters, President Vladimir Putin from Russia gave Trump a World Cup soccer ball to celebrate their collusion. I'm joking, of course. As you may know, Donald Trump is a billionaire businessman who owns or co-owns around 500 businesses, including golf courses, management companies, residential and commercial holdings, and hotels, including the Trump International Hotel in Washington, D.C. On June 12, 2017, the Attorneys General of Maryland and the District of Columbia filed a lawsuit against the president, alleging that every time someone from a foreign government patronizes the hotel, either by booking accommodations, ordering room service, or even raiding the minibar, that the president is profiting, thereby violating the Constitution.
If anybody goes to stay a night at his hotel, I mean, that's he is essentially receiving payments from foreign sources, which he's not entitled to do unless he gets permission from Congress, which he has not got.
So eloquent. But that leads us into the second lawsuit against President Trump. Democratic Senator Richard Blumenthal, along with 29 Democratic senators and 166 Democratic representatives, filed a lawsuit against the president to obtain relief from the president's continuing violation of the Foreign Emoluments Clause of the United States Constitution.
The Constitution requires you can't just sue anybody for anything. You have to show harm to yourself. How are these 200 Democrats harmed?
The Democrats claim that they are harmed because the president hasn't asked them for consent regarding his business dealings.
The failure of the executive branch to permit the legislative branch to vote, in effect, nullifies those votes in a way that gives us standing.
Which means that Congress has been denied the opportunity to vote no, and they are salty about it.
If you have a president such as we have who has hotels and foreign governments lease space at that hotel, that could be in violation of the Constitution unless he comes to Congress.
Every time someone, a foreign trade delegation stays at one of his hotels or joins Mar-a-Lago, they're directly putting money into the pocket of the president. I believe this is not only wrong and immoral, but illegal.
So the question remains, is President Trump violating the Emoluments Clause? Well, before he became president, Donald Trump handed over management of all of his companies to his longtime business partner, Alan Weisselberg, and Trump's sons, Eric and Donald Jr.
These papers are just some of the many documents that I've signed, turning over complete and total control to my sons. So I could actually run my business. I could actually run my business and run government at the same time. I don't like the way that looks, but I would be able to do that if I wanted to. I'd be the only one that would be able to do that. I could run the Trump Organization, great company, and I could run the country. I'd do a very good job.
That's what I love about Trump. He's just so humble. Okay, he's not running the company or managing the hotel, but if he's an owner, isn't he still profiting if a foreign state like, say, Saudi Arabia stays in his hotel?
The so-called Emoluments Clause has never been interpreted, however, to apply to fair value exchanges. that have absolutely nothing to do with an office holder. No one would have thought when the Constitution was written that paying your hotel bill was an emolument. Instead, it would have been thought of as a value for value exchange, not a gift, not a title, and not an emolument.
And that's the main issue. Believe it or not, the Constitution was written so that anyone could understand it. But the problem is, the document was ratified over 230 years ago, and the term emolument is not really used in modern times. So the courts presiding over the lawsuits need to rule on the question of whether or not the Founding Fathers' definition of emolument is broad enough to include, say, a foreign embassy paying for a hotel room or a restaurant bill. And let's be honest, it's unlikely that you can corrupt a billionaire president by spending a few $1,000s a night in a hotel he owns. I just don't see it. Which brings us to the biggest problem in each of the lawsuits. Trump isn't keeping the money. To avoid the appearance of a conflict, the Trump Organization has vowed to donate all profits earned from foreign government patronage to the US Treasury. And not just profit that the president would have made personally, but the entire Trump Organization as well. In fact, the Trump Organization wrote a check to the Treasury for around $150,000 for the year 2017. That number seems low, but that's because the Trump Organization hasn't been conducting new foreign deals during Trump's term in office. And if President Trump isn't keeping these so-called emoluments, then he is not gaining nor profiting. Trump can't ask permission from Congress to keep a payment that he hasn't even accepted. Congress is unlikely to vote for impeachment on the matter while their lawsuit continues to play out and while the Senate is under Republican control. And for now, it seems that President Trump and the Trump Organization have kept their promises on the matter. But if it turns out that they are holding back money or breaking the law in any way, then by all means, they should be held accountable. But let's face it, an official or delegate from a foreign government paying a company for a fair market exchange of goods and services is not the same as, say, a foreign government giving the Secretary of State's Foundation a $1 million gift in honor of her husband's birthday. So in part 2, we'll examine whether Hillary Clinton violated the Emoluments Clause. The answer will shock you. Thanks for watching, sharing, and hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to join the notification squad. Be sure to check out the links in the description, and as always, I hope to see you next time.